Are you rolling there, Dean?
Let's rock.
Welcome, everybody, episode 14. Yo, here we go. Do that horn there on the thing. Yeah, everybody. Yup, the flats. We have Dean O'Scurry. We have Irene Dunne. We have Sparky in the gap. Wrecking it. Yup.
Do you know what I mean? That's a bit more energetic.
He wants energy, Irene.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be always about energy. It can be a little bit flat because everybody's not always up there, Dean. You know what I mean? It can be medium. It doesn't have to be up in the gods all the time.
Here, fuck off, will you? Fresh, yeah?
Today we have my good friend Irene Dunne, who you've heard on the podcast because she's the woman who sends me the voice messages, the 6-minute voice messages, let me tell you. Me and Irene have been friends. I was first friends with Irene's niece, who is the same age as us. So I always thought it was weird that Irene was Tracy's aunt, but was the same age as us. The first time I met Irene, we were walking in town, and there was a fella. Now you have to try and picture this fella, right? So he cut his own hair, he had a duffel on, and it was the middle of summer, and he was walking down the road, and he just says to Irene, "Up your arse." And Irene goes, "Up your arse, up your one's fucking arse." And that was me introduction to Irene, right? And I always loved, Irene, I always loved you. You're always a great
thanks.
mate. And you did move to London.
20 and a half years.
You never lost a syllable of the Dublin accent. You never lost a bit of it. You said to me before you had 2 words. You used to say mom and pavement.
I always called my mum when I came back from London. Because everyone, that's what they called their parents over there. I had a little bit of an English accent when I worked at Heathrow Airport. Started work on Terminal 5. They were building Terminal 5 at Heathrow. And I went to an agency, I was temping, and she said to me, "Irene, there's a job, but now I don't know, people are walking off every week. It's a mad job. It's all men.
Right.
There's no women on it." I said, "Why is there no women on it?" She said, "Not yet. There's no footings or anything gone in. Nothing's done. They're starting from the ground up." I said, "Oh, grand. What have I be doing? Oh, you be doing a bit of reception. You'd probably be doing a bit of wages. You'd probably be doing a bit of recruitment, but we won't know till you start." She said, "What's the hardship then in being up there?" She said, "Well, it's like a desert. You get a bus to take you on like an island. And then the bus takes you off in the evening, but you're left for the day. There's no getting off. There's no going home." Oh, desperate. So when I turned up, I said, "Oh, now I know why they're walking off every week. Nobody's staying in this place." I said, "I can't stay here." All you saw was high vis and hats.
Yeah.
5,500 men walking, no women.
Right.
And it was only, the project was only starting. So I said to the agency, I said, "No, it's not for me." After about 2 or 3 days, I was crying. I came home crying the 3rd day because they're all whistling, "All right, darling, how are you, darling?" I was like, "Oh, this is not for me." So I rang me dad. I said, "Dad," he said, "How are you getting on at Heathrow? That's a great little start for you. I'm thrilled for you." I says, "I'm not staying. I can't stay. It's just fellas everywhere and they're whistling and all." My dad said, "Go back in tomorrow. Don't take any guff off anybody up there. Go back up and just try your best and stay as long as you can." Went back on the next day. It got a little bit easier as the days went on. Anyway, I stayed there for 7.5 years. That was my best job I had in Heathrow. But I had to round my words off in there because they couldn't understand me. Because everyone was English, Scottish, from all over England.
You had to develop a telephone voice.
You had to. You had no choice. Because when you were doing recruitment, you had to, obviously you're recruiting people, you're talking to people all day, and they were like, "What is this one saying?"
Even the Liverpudlians, who are very close to Dublin, you know, in a sense, the accent a bit, they will be saying to me, slow down when you're speaking, you know. And I was over in Liverpool last Saturday. We went up to meet Prowsey. Prowsey's my old mate over in England, you know. Prowsey did a very funny thing last week. Me and my mates went over to see Echo and the Bunnyman, and one of them wanted to do the ferry cross to Mersey. Brian, and he said, "I never done it," so we done it. I fell asleep on it. So we came back. Prowsey rings me. He goes, "Where you at?" I said, "I'm on the ferry," and he goes, "I'm right beside you." So, but he brought us up to the museum. We were walking up, and he goes, "You have to go in and see this museum." And I'm like, I was in there before. No big shakes, like, but come on. He said, "You have to come in. You have to come in." So he brought us in, right, and then we realised there was a part of the exhibition was about him because he wrote the best song about Liverpool. Does this train stop on Merseyside? Prowsey wrote that song, which is an amazing song, like, you know. But we were laughing, he was saying to us, "You have to get up here. You have to go and see this museum." The Scousers.
Hold on, why did you say
The Scousers.
Because he's trying to big up himself, but he's trying to do a...
No, he's listening,
on the
Irene.
down low,
He's
wasn't
listening.
he?
He listens to this.
Prowsey, we love you.
We love you, Prowsy.
But it's weird that you have a museum piece and you're still alive. We'll wait till you're dead and then we'll go and see it.
But that's the thing. I was thinking about
Posthumous.
Paul McCartney lived in Speke, where the airport is, right? But they named the airport after John Lennon. I said it to Barry over there, Barry Jones, another singer, you know, and I said to Barry, and he goes, "Well, he's not dead, is he?" You only name airports after dead people.
Yeah, that's true,
probably
though.
true, yeah.
It is mostly true.
But the Liverpudlians could not understand me, and they were just staring at me, and I could see them trying to decipher what I was saying. And then
You'd get a bit excited as well, though, and you'd tend to speak faster then.
Do you know what I was doing? I was walking ahead of everybody. I was saying, like, I was up in this place before. I was up in this place before, and there's great grub up here. Come on, wait to see this place.
Well, I remember I had a chat with a Chinese fella in a helicopter down here.
I started my art class yesterday on Manor Street down in Ockham Street Parish Centre. The Ockham Street Parish Centre was where I went to my discos, my youth clubs back in the day. Brilliant place. And we all get our little outfits ready every week. You got new clothes and you're trying to outdo each other. You know what, the girls. And yesterday when I went in, that was the first time I'd been back since the youth club. And I was desperate to go up the back of the hall just to have a nosy at where we used to dance and all. And I thought, how do I do this? I was a little bit early. And I said to one of the security, the fella in the office, I said, "You wouldn't mind if I walk up to the assembly hall? I'm a bit early. The facilitator's not here." "Go on." He said, "What do you want to go up there for?" "I just want to have a nosy." I said, "I used to do my old dances here." I said, "Back in the day." "Not today, yesterday." So he says, "Come on, I walk you up." So we went up and I was looking through the glass panels. Oh, Jesus, everything came flooding back. The clothes, the smells, the music, everything. And there used to be a table with all 7-Up and lemonade and all your minerals was on it and little goodies. You know, you have crisps and all these. They had a little shop in there, a little tuck shop. And I was standing there and everything came flooding back to me. I said, Jesus Christ, some of them girls that I was dancing with is gone now, you know. Quite a few of them is gone now. And the fellas as well. But I was saying it to your man. He said, "Jason, how old were you coming in here?" I said, "I can't remember really the age. It must have been 13, 14, I'd say." Yeah. But the memories were gorgeous. But then when I went into the art class, she was asking us how good he is and what do you do? Just having any of you at work, which is... I said, "Any of our work?" She said, "Yeah, I'm going to learn."
You are a piece of art.
This
but you
I know.
are. I mean, look at the way you dress your house.
So I got to describe Irene, right? She has a pair of flash, luminous 1980s Air Max, about 10 different colours on it. The pants are made to bleeding measure, little beauties. The top looks like she's had to do a jump over in IKEA. The jacket is one of those posh Parker chats that you get over the south side.
Irene is a wonder in and out.
She has a lovely
shop.
bonnet of ginger bleeding raspy hair.
Irene is a black belt in the second-hand shops.
I love the second-hand shop. Now, some of my stuff is new because Kay, my sister, bought me the lovely Mac.
The Mac is gorgeous. It's yellow.
Yeah,
Canary
it's yellow.
is it?
Kay bought me that. Kay
That's
buys me
gorgeous.
some lovely bits still.
So Kay is Tracy's ma, right? So when I was growing up in Coolock, we met Tracy and Tara, who are sisters, and we hung around. And Kay's house was our haven.
Yeah.
It was where we hung out, and we were all... Kay's very open. Kay and Mick are very open, and they were young. They were young. I don't know whether they're younger than my mum and dad, but they were certainly young at heart and very, very open and very
Very
welcoming.
liberal. Very liberal.
Very liberal, yeah, exactly. And Kay would have been like an aunt to me, you know, kind of a cool aunt, like, you know. The whole lot of you are into your colours. Like, you know, like your house is very bright, very different. You know, the chairs are different, you know, are colour, the walls are very bright and all that kind of stuff. Tracy's the same. Tara's the same. Kay is the same. Sally is a mad into your colours.
I used to always remember Tracy's hair and her lipstick. Blonde hair and red lipstick.
Gorgeous.
Oh my God, stunning.
Gorgeous.
She looked like a Hollywood's leading lady.
Yeah, God, she's still gorgeous.
And
but
she had the
beautiful.
attitude as well. And I get a little bit of that off you, of confidence, of vibrance, sassiness, a bit of that. It's lovely.
I think that comes from great love. I think when you get great love growing up from the get-go, that inner confidence is
Who's the
already
get-go?
there.
Is that your outlet?
No, the get-go from the start. My outlet was called Fatso Dunn, by the way.
Fatso Dunn?
He who has a name, yes. His name is Fatso Dunn.
Where is he
His real
from?
name was Sean Dunn. He was from Kingston, and he comes from a family of maybe, I think about 5 or 6 brothers. Now, his mom died young and the dad
His mom.
remarried. Yeah, his mom died. You see, that still comes out.
His album.
Well, 21 years in London, it's going to, some things are
Something
still
has
there.
to come out.
Something has to come
some
out.
people, when we were kids, people would go over to London on 2 weeks holidays and come back going, "Oh, right, mate."
I think you lose your accent if you want to lose your accent.
Yeah.
I didn't lose my accent. I rounded my letters and my words because people couldn't make head nor tail what I was saying on the phone.
I used to go to Liverpool for the summers when I was like about 12, 13, 14. I'd come back with a Liverpool accent. Right there, kid, what's going on there, mate?
Well, it's easy to pick up an accent, isn't it? But you can drop it and pick it up and put it down. But some people want to come back and just be different and have a different accent. I didn't want that. I think as soon as I came back, I'm back maybe 15 years, and I think I wasn't long back before all my accent was back to the way it was.
Back
I didn't want to sound English.
I tell you what I love, right? When, like, you know, somebody, I remember one time we went somewhere and they kept saying, it's savage, boy. It's savage. And we still use that. Oh, that's savage.
And Sam says that he's Cabra, and that's a real Cabra thing. Everything's savage.
Savage, yeah. I like that. I like picking up on when you go somewhere else, you take a little bit back with you and that kind of stuff. So I love all that. I'm not so mad about everything has to stay the same. You know what I mean? Because I keep hearing Dublin down memory lane and people are fawning on 50 years ago. I was better back then. You're thinking, what about now? Now it's great.
They're all remembering going back into the school hall for the dance. That's what they're remembering. Do you want to go back to those days and smell the paint and bleed and hear the sounds?
Well, I think when you want to go back and hear the sounds and get the smells, I think when you reflect on things, you're at a different time in your life. First of all, you might have been happier because you had no bills, you hadn't got your own house, everything was provided for you. So when people look back at things in rose-tinted glasses, there's a great reason for that.
And you'd have what you described there a few minutes ago, the love of the family, the parents.
If you have that love, you're blessed. Not everybody has it. That was a given with us. I got that from the get-go. And like I said, I'm the youngest of 11. My ma had 11 children and I'm the baby. I was very, very lucky to be in that position in my family because everybody gave me so much love and spoilt me so much and tried to protect me all the time. Not overprotective, not stifling because I was always out.
You're very independent, You're an extremely independent woman.
Yeah, but that's from living away, I think, and going away at 20 and a half. And then all your adult life is spent in London. And I didn't come back till 40, nearly 41. My ma had died.
Peggy.
My mum, Peggy, and Margaret is her real name. She had passed and I was coming home all the time to see me dad. And every time I was coming home, I was thinking, God, imagine having 11 kids. And now you're left in the house on your own. They were all boxed off. They're married with kids. And I was in London. I had a fella at the time and I was in London and I thought, jeez, it's very hard going back and watching me dad in the house on his own. So I rang him one night. I said, Dad, I think I'll come home. Oh, jeez, don't come home. We bleed and mill each other. You know the way I'm not used to being with each other at that age. I was at the leaving at 20 and a half. Although I always had a great relationship with my dad because I was very spoiled. And he said, Irene, you'll find this very different when you come back living with me and I'm getting older. And I said, that's why I'm coming back. And it was a lot of pride involved there. And they don't want to say that they need you. He wasn't getting on. He wasn't bet up. He still wasn't up to 91. He was grand. But when I came back, I thought, oh, I wonder will I settle back? Don't forget you've left all your family. You've left your boyfriend. I split up. Then I decided to come back. You left all your friends over there. All the good job you had. There was a redundancy. I took redundancy so I could return home. And then when I came home, I thought, I'm never going to settle here. Everything had changed because women that I knew had moved on and got married and had kids. And they were all boxed off. And I thought, things have changed a lot. Maybe I did a wrong thing here. But yeah, I was stuck because I didn't want to ever have my dad in the house on his own. That was really working with my head. I thought, I don't like this. I want to get back. So when I got back, we didn't mill each other. We had a great relationship. I'm glad I spent the years with him. I think about 13 years I spent with him. And I was his carer then towards the end. And he still wasn't bet up at 91. It's just that he had renal failure. His kidneys were failing, but he was a strong man. He was a
great crackpot, wasn't he?
He was a good man and he was sharp. I miss his way.
Yeah.
I miss his dry sense of humour.
And I remember your ma, so my nanny died when I was about 15 or 16, and your ma reminded me of my nanny because they were from the same place.
Yeah, same.
And she spoke the same. So there was a part of me that kind of avoided your ma a little bit because I didn't want to hear me nanny. But she was deadly, you know what I mean? Yeah. She was great. I loved her presence, you know, she was lovely, you know. And I was always surprised when she died, you know, because she died young. You know, when you think about it, of
79. It's kind of young now, considering my dad lived to 91. She could have hung around a bit longer, but she didn't. She had heart conditions, so she had to go. Yeah. Like you both have both your parents.
My man and dad's still alive, and I had the privilege of living with them for about 3 years, and it was fucking amazing because you can see them getting older, a bit frailer. My man had to get a hip done. My dad's gone grey. But then when you move back in with them, they get a rebirth. You know what I mean? Real privilege to have that with your parents. If you can grab that for a couple of years, just to live with them while you're older and they're in the autumn or the winter of their life, it's beautiful. So we had I do another podcast with Martin, and we had Mar on it.
I listened to it. It was lovely.
It took her about 2.5 hours to talk for an hour because she was fucking shiting herself. She was nervous. But once she's talked, like you, once you just start opening up.
You're always nervous of the unknown. I mean, Corky didn't even say to me on the way out, you're going into a little room, by the way, and he'd tell you nothing. I know it's the way of it, and you get people off the cuff, and sometimes it's more natural when you get them like that. But some people need to be prepared. Like I said, we're not all the same in any respect. So if you're getting people out to talk about things in the past or family dynamic or how they were in their family or what the family politics was like, people are not automatically comfortable with that. There's a lot of demons in people that they don't want to address in a podcast with two people.
But I think we're us. Yeah. We don't ask. I think we're good at just drawing people out and people land. Easy. Like even with me dad, like, you know what I mean? Me dad, like I learned stuff about me dad that I never knew. And Dean drew that out. I know stuff about me dad. I was saying, remember this happened, and he'd take the story on, right? But Dean drew stuff out that I never knew. Irene calls me Corky because my surname is Corcoran, and that was my nickname when I was growing up with Tracy and all them. And then when I came to Ballymun, a young fella started calling me Sparky. And a lot of people call me Sparky. I've loads of nicknames, actually.
And sometimes I call you Ray. It depends on what form I'm in.
Somebody keeps calling me Raymond.
Raymond's nice.
Do you know what? I used to not like it, but now I like it. Yeah. Now it's grand.
You're getting more mature, you see, so it's more acceptable maybe.
When I was in Liverpool, I was just saying to me, mate, he was saying to me, there's something different about you, and I'm saying, I'm very, very happy in my own skin now. I'm very, very comfortable in trotting around and just being me, and I've less kind of inhibitions about what I look like. I would have wore a hat, always wearing hats, and then in the last couple of months, I just stopped wearing them.
Well, if you were going to a gig, when you went to Echo and the Bunny Man, you put a lid on you?
I did put a lid on me.
See, I knew you would.
I brought a lid for that, and I brought
I don't know if it's all show. I think some of it might be hide.
Is it?
Yeah.
There was a bit of a hide, you see. That was it. But now it's not. And now I'm just, I'm happy. I think when you get a bit of peace of mind and you like it, I think sometimes for me, when I get peace of mind and I recognise it and I go, right, that was peace of mind. Well, there's a part of me the next day that goes, repeat. Like, it's there. Go back, find it. And then practicing peace of mind, I think, is deadly. It's when you're practicing okayness. You know what I mean? I'm okay. I'm okay with the world.
I was sitting in here earlier on. In my head, I wanted to be somewhere else. I was just sitting here trying to not have that way of thinking and just enjoy the quietness. And I was picturing what it was going to be like for this and all that. This is where I get a bit of peace of mind when we're just talking and sharing and chatting.
Yeah, it's lovely.
It's fucking really nice. It's interesting. And that's
free.
And that's the bit I'm interested in, rather than going, okay, Irene, tell us about everything that happened from when you were a bleeding young one. That's less interesting to me, like your story, because once we get past your story, well then where the fuck are we? Yeah.
You said some people aren't this way, right? That's the struggle with me, right? Is I'm so comfortable in myself now, right? So last night there was a culture night in Access, and I'm emceeing a recovery gig on Friday with another woman, and she was saying, we need to meet before this. And I was like, we'd be grand. And she's like, no, I don't do that. She said, you're like that. And she said to me, do you prepare for your podcast? And I'm going, yeah, a little bit, but not much, because I love the flow. She said, I'm not like that. I'm very, very, I need to have bullet points, right? And I'm like, right, sound, and I have to accept that. The old me would have went, fuck her, I'll just do what I want.
Yeah.
But now I'm a little bit more, I'm conscious in myself that other people are different, that other people need.
Completely, in every respect though, not just in the podcast, in every respect. I think it's more comfortable to think that people are similar to you, or you want people to have similar values and morals and whatnot. That's not the way it is though. We're also individual in loads of respects, aren't we?
But we've got loads of shit that we have the same as well.
But we all deal with them different.
Yeah, so I think, here's the way I phrased it a couple of weeks ago. We're all uniquely the same. We've got so much shit that's exactly the same. Feelings, emotions, thoughts. We all hopefully had some kind of relationship with a mother or a father growing up. To different degrees, we got love or contact or food or whatever. So we all have similar things, but there's only one you. There will only ever be one you. Look at you. You know what I mean? You're a beauty, like.
Thank you.
No, but you are. You're stunning.
Thank you.
Like in not just in the physical and the way you talk, in your clothes, just your vibe. There will only ever be one Irene Dunne.
That's lovely to hear.
And there'll only ever be one Dean Sparky.
And that's stunning. That's fucking interesting. Because then I can be me 100% Irene.
Yeah.
And that's when the shivers start coming up me.
Yeah.
And the other day when I was feeling shit, I just went, there's only ever going to be one me. There's only one Sparky. And when we bring an Irene and a Sparky and a Dean together, well then anything is fucking possible.
It's lovely. Yeah,
I went to visit
lovely.
a friend of mine who's crossing over. He's in the departure round of life. He's hoping that he lives till Christmas, you know, and but he knows where he's going. He has a great spiritual outlook on where he's going, and we were chatting, you know, and I said to him, "How are you with it, like, you know, and he just goes, "You know what I realise? Sparky," he calls me, or Ray. He says, all the stuff I worried about, all the stuff that wrecked me head, all the stuff, it's meaningless. You know, he said, because he was kind of saying that he was experiencing what it was going to be like when he passes. Like, so let's say he passes, right, and it's a light switch, like my dad said. Lights go out, and that's it. Goodbye, Ray, goodbye, Irene, goodbye, Dean, right, that's it, right? Switch, gone, right?
Good night, Irene.
Good night, Irene. But let's say there's that, right? Let's say that happens,
Not the
right?
first time I heard that, okay.
Absolutely. But
Bish, bash, bosh. Thanks for your ham sandwich. Good night, Irene.
so let's say that's what happens, right? As you're going, that's how I think older people become more comfortable in themselves. They sit back, they don't give a fuck, like, you know what I mean? And they don't give a care what they say, because none of it really matters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's because age is wisdom. You get to a certain place in your life, like you were saying now, you're more content in your life now than you've ever been, probably. You're more comfortable in your own skin. Age gives you that. I've an inner contentment now. I've always kind of had, I think, an inner contentment. My ma had it. My ma was very comfortable to be around, very chilled, very relaxed, very quiet person. My dad was a bit more outgoing. I wouldn't even say my dad was loud. He wasn't loud spoken even. He had a quieter voice, and even in his later years he got very quiet in his voice and got quieter as a person. But I would have thought that my dad from old stock was 91 when he was passing. When my dad was going towards the end, we didn't realise, we got a fright when we got him to the matter, because she had said, "I'm taking your dad in to manage him." We understood that was to make him comfortable and get him back home. That was my understanding of it. I would have preferred to hear the words, "Your dad's going towards the end now. Get your gang around you." And I would have been more prepared for that. But she didn't. She said, "We're bringing him in to manage him." So when I got into the ward and my dad was there, he was very poorly at this stage because the kidneys were failing. And I said to him, he said to me, "Oh, Jace, I feel brutal, Larry." Now, he'd never would tell you how he's feeling, because I was his carer and he was old stock. He didn't want to be needy of me. He wanted to be independent still, and he wanted to be this big, strong man, like that he wasn't anymore because his body was failing him. So when we got him in the hospital, she said palliative care is on the way up, and I nearly passed out. And I said, "Palliative care? Is that not for the end of your life?" No, it's not always for the end of your life, but for me dad, it was palliative for going towards the end. So I said, "Palliative's on the way up?" She said, "Yeah." She said, "Your dad hasn't got long." And I was like, "Oh, Jesus. My brother is in London. My sister lives in Derry. We haven't got family all over. We have nieces in Australia, and my nephew was in Australia maybe at the time as well. Can't get them home in time. But you're thinking about all the family. Who do I have to tell? I have to ring everybody." But then towards the end, with him being old, you think he's going to be comfortable with this. He's going to be all right with it. And he had the faith. He prayed, and he always had the faith. And my ma had the faith as well. And it was only when the palliative came and I said to her, "Go in and talk to him on your own, because I'm his baby, and he always looks upon me still as his baby." And I was in my 50s at the stage. He's gone 4 years. And when she went in, the door was open, and she said to him, "How are you, Sean? I am Sinead Costello from Palliative Care." Beautiful person. And she got chatting to him, and she said, I think she said the words, "How are you?" because I was reeling from knowing that he was going to go, so I wasn't really concentrating. But she said something along the lines of, "How are you?" And he said to her, "I'm very nervous." Now, I nearly died, because my dad would never be that vulnerable.
That's nice though, isn't it?
Yeah. It's nice that he was, but he wouldn't have said that to her had I been there as his youngest child, because he's trying to protect me to the very end. Yeah. He'll always do that. He always did that with his kids. And I thought he will not say anything in front of her that makes him look vulnerable. So when he thought I was out of range, she said, "I'm very nervous." Now, I nearly fell to my knees outside, because I didn't want my dad to be in that place. I didn't want him to be nervous. I was hoping he'd be all right going to his end, but he wasn't. He was nervous in the end. But anyway, when he was going towards the end, we all got there, and we all got to say goodbye, and we all got to say lovely things to him. All the lovely things you remember about him. It was gorgeous. Everybody individually went into that room before he went and chatted to him. So you feel, later on, you need time to grieve. Obviously, everybody's lost. You know what I'm talking about. But when you have that time to grieve and reflect on the good times, it's more comfortable because you had that gorgeous time with him. Not like when people in the COVID lost people and they didn't get that. It's very important to get that, gorgeous time at the end, you know.
That was rough. And I think that's still rough on people, you know.
Yeah, it's hard. It's
and
hard.
I remember we said when Dean have a friend who passed about 10 years ago from cancer, you know.
Yeah.
And he was 7 months, ill. He was 7 months ill, and he passed at Christmas time. I remember listening to the radio about 3 or 4 months after it, and there was a doctor on, and he was saying, when people die from cancer, it's better. Oh, you nearly crashed the car, right? And I was like, what is this head case talking about, you know? But basically what he was saying is that people have a chance to say goodbye. People have a chance to say those things like what you got to say to Fatsa. John got to write his kids letters. His kids got to write him letters. You know what I mean? And
so
it was savage. It was deadly. You know what I mean? And there's another friend of mine who died suddenly, about 3 weeks ago. You know, there's nothing, you know, there's no, you know, even like, you know, in COVID, you're kind of thinking, you know, what were they going through? Like, I mean, were they on their own and all that kind of stuff? That just, to me, that was savage. That was
awful. Because there's no closure, isn't it? You get no closure with them. That's what's awful.
Maybe they were minded, you know, maybe they were okay, you know. It's a weird thing. It's something that we talk about a lot on the podcast is death, you know what I mean? It's, you know, and I think before we didn't talk about death, and now we're starting to understand that death is part of life. And I think in the Irish culture, the one thing we do right is death. I remember another funeral in your family that was in COVID, and it was huge, this huge big celebration of that person's life, like, you know what I mean? We do it right. If there's one thing that we do here, we do that right.
Yeah.
You know,
funerals are great.
Funerals are great.
Yeah.
And I remember
I love that. He loves an old funeral.
I love a funeral.
I've gone to funerals with him and they'd be outside and we'd be cracking jokes and slagging cunts left, right and centre.
That's right.
I love a funeral. They're even better than weddings, I think.
Well, you don't have to buy a present.
And you're seeing people that you don't generally see. There's loads of people you don't see, like even on a weekly basis, but at a funeral, people come together that you haven't seen for years. It's rapid. I love seeing them all. I think it's great.
We only meet each other at funerals.
Well, that's true though for a lot of people. Sam's mate died last week, and I said to him, and I say to him all the time, you don't make efforts with your mates. I'm not saying men in general, I can't generalise with that, but him and his mates don't make an effort to meet up and make it even a monthly thing. I said, you're waiting for the next funeral to say, Jesus, it was savage because I seen all them in one hit. Don't be waiting for the funeral. Pick up the phone, ring them. Do you want to meet next week for a pint? Are you all right?
One of the young people said to me, I won't be here tomorrow because I'm going to be Granny's wake. And I was like, your nanny died because I know the woman. He said, no, she wanted to be at her own wake.
I love it.
So she organised.
I love it.
She organised a wake for she's told everyone to be there because she wanted to be there. Because you know what happens at funerals, right? You know, somebody dies, you say.
Fucking cracker. I had an idea a couple of years ago, right? Banging burials, right? So you get the decks out on the coffin and all that, and you just thump it and pump it for a couple of days. You're going to hire the DJ for your nanny's bleeding wake. She'll be at the wake, popping yolks down her neck.
They used to call me Dad Chase the Hearse, and that's what they're starting to call me now. Because he's dead, my dad always said, your last mark of respect to anybody, go to the church, go to the funeral. Yeah. So I know my dad's not here, and I'm very conscious that I'm from a big family. And when one of the townies go with anybody I know, I say, I have to be at that service. I have to, even just to be at the church and give them the hug and say, so sorry for your troubles, what you used to say years ago, and then be on your way. But you have to give a little bit of respect.
You have to mark it. Is it a mark of respect?
Sorry for your troubles, love.
Sorry for your troubles, love. I know I'm old-fashioned in some of the things I say, but listen, I'm an old man's Bobby. What can I say? I come out with old-fashioned things.
So your folks, Fatsa Dunne, what was the album?
Peggy.
Where did they meet?
Where did Matt and Dad meet? Now let me think. Can't remember where they met, but I remember he brought her down to the Strand Picture House on their first date. And she was from Mountjoy Square. My dad was King's Inns Street. And she didn't travel well. And I think they got the bus to the Strand. Now, Kay will correct me. My sister is great for her. Obviously, she's around longer and she's great memories of all this. But she didn't travel very, very well. She said, I get sick and I'm not good on buses and all that. But she wasn't well going down the Strand Picture House. And when they got in there, my mum was very loved and very indulged as well, you know. And when she got to the picture house, she said, I want caramel. He said, what would you like? She said, caramels, few caramels, can of orange, whatever it was. So he went out and got them and brought her back. Iced caramels, God love him, just trying to please her first date. don't do ice caramels. I said caramels. So he went back out to change them. And that was the beginning of a gorgeous love story. And they were together for so many years. And he would say, Jesus, man, how'd you stick the same man for that length of time, you know? She said, I love every hair on his head. And if I had me time over again, I'd do it. And she said that with such sincerity. Now, I'm sure he drove her mad. They were at having 11 kids and they were at growing up in the inner city. Not a pot of piss in some days out a window to throw it out. But listen, there was love there and she always loved him and he idolised her and they were very united. And again, if you come from that kind of love and you're watching that kind of love, you're very blessed in so many ways. Because you know how to love. You go through your life and you meet your partners and you know, that's not right. That kind of thing is not right. You know the right love because you've come from good love, which is lovely. And I was very, very fortunate, even with my family and my brothers and sisters. Very lucky.
The love helps, doesn't it?
Big time. And it sets you up. It makes you the person that you are, I think. And it makes you strong and it makes you comfortable knowing that you're surrounded by people that have your back all the time, especially when you're the baby. And I know how protective my brothers were. Like, people used to call round to me for the youth club. Fellas from out Devon, he'd be walking through where I live now in Drummondley and he'd knock at the door. And he'd say, that's the last time I knock at your door. Because when they knocked at the door, my brothers would all come out mortifying. What you want? And he'd say, is Irene there? We're going to the youth club. What you want her for? And like, Jesus, help them, they were only young. I said, don't be coming out with me mates is knocking at the door. Different when the girls knocked. But when the fellas knocked.
I remember your brothers wanting to know about Sam.
I'm telling you, it was ridiculous.
So that thing that happened when you were 13, they carried
it through.
years, yeah.
They'd be looking and saying, what's the story with him? I'd say, what do you mean, what's the story with him? He's a bloke, like you're a bloke, he's grand. Yeah, what's
Sam
he walking at? I met Sam when I came home. I was in London for 20 and a half years and I came home at 41 and I met Sam about 43. Sam is a good man, like Jesus. When I met Sam, he was living with, Sam was had to be a printer by trade and his mum was a printer by trade. And then he was looking after her towards the end and she had Alzheimer's for 13 years. So he's a good man. He looked after her right to the end.
He's a mod, isn't he?
He was a mod when he was a kid. People still say, he's real mod. He's not a mod. He was a mod when he was probably 13 or 14.
And he loves the old vintage cars now. He has a Cortina.
He loves vintage cars and motorbikes.
Where'd you meet him?
I met Sam down the Dice Bar down on Queen Street. That's where we used to drink all the time. And then Gibbo was his friend and Gibbo had said to me, I want to introduce you to a fella called Sam. And I thought, I wasn't looking for anybody. Sam wasn't looking for anybody. But he was a nice fella and I got chatting. And then he got my number off Gibbo, I think it was. And then he texted one day, do you want to have lunch? I said, yeah, grand. So I think we're 11 years maybe together this January.
Where did Sam grow up?
Sam grew up Cabra.
He's pure Cabradero.
Yeah.
Cabra's.
Cabra Mafia. The Cabra Mafia, I call them. There's some click in Cabra, I'm telling you now.
I call them Cabraites. Cabraites.
Here, so you went out with a fella in Cabra and today was the first day you were in Finglas?
Never come to Finglas.
What business would you have in Finglas?
I call this
Finglas
Comanche
wouldn't know what to do with you.
No.
You call it what?
Comanche territory.
Comanche territory. I'm not into this gig up here at all. I was coming through going, cocky way. She said, Finglas. And like I say, I have no reason to be here.
You're in Ballymun.
Doesn't matter. I have no reason to be in Ballymun either.
Would you be in Ballymun at all?
Never.
Were you in Ballymun when the flats were here?
Never. When I was young, when I was born in Gardner Street, in 18A Law Gardner Street, and I grew up and I hung around the street and the playground. There was a rafters pond there and there was a big playground in Gardner Street beside Malborough Street School. And we played there from morning to night. And my sister Kay said, Jeez, Aaron, you're a real street urchin. You'd never come in. I don't remember this part. And she said a few times your ma brought food out you in the playground because you wouldn't come in. I never came in. My ma used to say, see, when we were young, you were told, don't come in till you hear the Angelus. So you went out to play and came in at 6. You came in for your dinner at 6. So I just took that literally and I stayed out and I never came in. No, you get your dinner at 6, but you'd have your lunch and you go out for, I'm talking hours. I never came in the house.
Hold on, you were getting lunch and dinner and all. She had 11 kids and she's making all them.
She was making lunch because my dad was coming in from the docks for his lunch. All my brothers worked in Easton's factory, wholesalers in Gardner Street, and all my brothers worked there, but they'd come in for lunch. And my dad cycled up from the docks for lunch. So there was always grub. And my dad was a real grubber. So, and then your dad would bring up stuff from the docks. Whatever you got on the boats got brought up in the Parker. They all wore Parkers down the docks. They wore them for a reason. Stroking, yeah. But there was always food. And if people didn't have food up the halls, my dad would have little parcels and he'd say, bring the halls are. Right. Oh, the halls is a tenement, sorry. So we were down in A and say a woman in number C who used to babysit me, man and dad, if her husband wasn't working, my dad would come in and he'd just have a little parcel. And my dad was very, didn't talk about people's business around, never did.
Discreet.
Even to the end, very discreet. And he'd say to me, bring that bag up to see, he's not working. And I say, Dad, what's in it? And there'd be a plastic bag tied, it'd be full of food, you know. And I'd say, Dad, what's in the bag? And he'd say, did I ask you to ask me what's in that bag?
Yeah,
I said, no, what did I ask you? I said, to bring it up to number C. Well, bring it up to number C. And that's the way he was. But everyone that I meet from when my dad died, Dino, everybody that I've met from when my dad died said, I've never met a kinder man. He was super kind.
My dad called that a rap.
A rap, always a rap.
A message, me
rap.
mad caller. Bring
And
that
a
message up
message.
to your woman in number C. Number C is a great way of saying it, isn't it? Number C.
Number C,
Yeah, because we were in the like, if my man and dad was going out at night and they were going to Honeypot on the corner of Garden Street, or they never really went to Blue Line. They went to Scanlon's and Cumberland Street.
Blue Line was rough.
Yeah, they didn't really go to
Fuck.
Blue Line. Scanlon's and Killan's. So when they were going out when I was the baby, they'd say, Paul would be out playing with his mates. He was a boy. They weren't overly protective of the boy, but they'd say, we'd send Irene up to Mary Fagan, who was my neighbour, up and see. And Mary was lovely. Mary had the same amount of kids as my ma. So my ma would ring the bell and say, Mary'd look out the window and she'd say, what's the story? She'd say, I'm sending her up. And sometimes the lights wouldn't work up in the landing when you were walking up through the halls and it frightened the getting out of you. If you were from the bottom, it frightened the getting out of you. And I'd say, Mary, will you sing? So she used to sing. And you'd hear her singing till I got up and I knew I was safe. And then when my ma and dad come home, I'd say, I can't wait for my ma and dad to come home. And she'd say, why? I'd say, my dad go to Benny's in Parnell Street for the fish and chips, the Ray and chips. Now, you didn't get Ray and chips when you were a kid. You got the corner of your dad's Ray. You got the Crispies off it. So he'd ring the bell up when they're coming out of the pub and he'd say, Mary, will you send her down? And I'd say, Mary, sing till I get down the bottom. And she'd sing again. And then I get in for the Ray and chips.
The smell of it. I can
Oh,
smell it now.
Jesus, the memories
So
of
I was
it.
in Maynooth 2 weeks ago and we went over to the restaurant and on a Friday in Maynooth College, because it's still linked with the priest thing, there's always a fish. There's always fish there, right? And they had plaice and mashed potato and peas. Oh, Irene, it was like a trip back
You
to
don't
the
have to
80s.
confuse it when it's fish and potatoes and peas. That's all you need.
That's, yeah, it's
People
very
dress
simple.
it up too much. You don't need to
So
dress it
here,
up.
but I was eating it, I was scraping it, you know the way you scrape the place off, and I was eating it, and there was one of the women was saying, what is that? And I was like, that's plaice. And
It's the only fish I don't eat is place.
yeah, and there's loads of people don't like it because there
It's too
is a
fishy.
particular taste of it.
Yeah, it's too fishy.
So come here, what's the getna?
The gitna. Afraid of
Gitna.
gitna. Yeah, afraid of gitna is afraid of your life. Yeah, afraid
Because
for
we used
your
to say
life.
like gitna. It's
Yeah,
not-
gitna.
Yeah,
Gitna, yeah. Same thing.
Afraid
I
of
say
your
afraid of me gitna going up these stairs. And when you went to Mary's, it was so different because when you went from my house, it was all about grub and cooking, and my man and dad always had pots on the gas. But when you went up to Mary's, all our kids would be after being fed and they'd be washing off for school the next morning. But she'd loads of sweets because there's a woman down in Mary's Mansion who used to sell the silver mints and the broken biscuits and the broken
Love it.
sweets, the clove and all. So her whole house was full of sweets.
The
Oh, stop,
cloves.
clove rock. Remember the
But
pillars?
the pillars were gorgeous, but you know the one that I love, the cough sweets. Remember them ones?
Oh,
the
I
black
love
ones?
the cough sweets. Well, Michael Forden won't go around and drive his car these days without his black cough sweets and his lemon cough sweets.
Well, I have to find out where he gets them.
I know where he gets them in the shop, in the chemists.
Did you ever go into the Tenement Museum in Henrietta Street?
Yeah.
And does it bring it back?
No, I think it's very impoverished when you go into that one. They were really in abject poverty then you're talking about back in them times. We weren't in that kind of poverty. There'd be blankets on the bed now, there'd be a duffel thrown on you when it was a
I
cold
used
night.
to love the coats.
I love the coats, the weight of them. You always got that. But you didn't have that level of poverty, we didn't. And we were fed. Like my dad was saying when he was from King's Inn Street and he grew up to Henrietta Street, he hung around Henrietta Street. Now my dad till he died could tell you everyone that lived in all them halls and how many kids he had and where that dad worked. My dad's head was like a computer for that. And like I told you before, when you tried to record me dad, we did it a few times, you put the phone on and just chat. I think he must have got, there was something different in the tone of your voice when you were talking to him. And he used to say, no, you can knock that phone off. Always knew when the phone was
And
on.
that's why it was delighted to record me dad. Like,
Oh, it's
you know what
very
I mean?
important. I said that to you, didn't I?
Yeah, it was great.
Get your
and,
dad
there's,
quicker.
and there's loads
than
of people. After that one, right, what happened was the City of Dublin Youth Service Board have asked that we record all the old youth workers, all the community workers that work, because, when they go, they're gone. Like, some of them have written books and some of them have done other things. I think it's very important, you know what I mean? And I think...
Why is it important?
Because when they're gone, and that old folklore, them old stories are gone. You can try and tell them. You never tell them the way your man and dad told them stories because they were there. They lived there. Like I said to Corky, he said to me, I'm thinking about getting my dad. And I said, get your dad on quicker, sooner rather than later, because anything can happen. And it's great to have your dad's voice. I'm sorry that I don't have my dad's voice, because he had a lovely voice. He spoke quite low. As he was getting older, he spoke low. It was lovely. But Tracy has him recorded Tracy had a beautiful relationship with my niece because she was removed from us because she wasn't his child. And he had this gorgeous relationship where he was even real affectionate with Tracy, as older men are sometimes different with their grandkids than they were. They've learned what wasn't maybe great when they were young with their kids, and they tried to do it better with their grandkids. But Tracy had a brilliant relationship with him, and she recorded him, and it's heartbreaking at the same time when I hear his voice. I've played it and it breaks me heart. But what you had with your dad, I would have loved to have with me dad, because he walked down the docks, and the stories about the unions and the stories about Kay getting her first job and being the only woman down there. The stories were unbelievable. Debbie. And you remember some of it, but you'll never remember it like your dad remembered it because he lived there.
And what do you think we get from those stories? Do you know what I mean? Let's say we had all the stories from all the people. What do we get from it?
Just a better understanding of the way their life was years ago. It's very important. Well, I suppose if you love your parents and you adore them, then you'll hang on to every little morsel. It kind of keeps them alive. The stories kind of keep them a little bit alive when they've passed, you know?
Well, it's like what I was saying before, Dean, when we talk about ancestral trauma, you know, that seems to be this thing, you know, that, you know, talking about, well, I have ancestral trauma. But we don't only have ancestral trauma, we have ancestral goodness.
Ancestral love.
Ancestral love and goodness, and so there's loads of stuff
and crack and stories
and all the stuff that was passed to us that is brilliant.
It connects us to the human part, because your dad is your dad and he could just be seen as that. But I love when you see your parents as people, as humans. They've on their own journey, and they kind of come out with that superhero mode that you had, and you go, well, fucking wow, you had your own experiences. You were your own unique person.
I loved him so much. Now, you don't look back so much at rose tinted glass. My dad, I used to wish he was more affectionate. My mum was affectionate. I think when you have two older parents, my mum had me at 38 maybe. I think if you have two older parents where the dad doesn't have a certain strength, the man always steps up. Well, that was the case in my house, because my dad wouldn't have been over affectionate, but you always got his love, you always got his attention, you always got his money. And I think when he gave you the money, that was his love. I never went without. Like, he'd say he was on the docks and he'd come home with the dockets that you got your Levi's with. They were supposed to get hardware and clothes with these dockets. They all got issued them down the docks. My dad never used that for himself. He always came home and said, do you need Levi's for the youth club? I remember going to the youth club with Levi's shirt and Levi's jeans, and people were like, Jesus, where did you get the clobber? That was my dad's dockets from Connors in Abbey Street, and you bought the Levi's and the Wranglers. I bought the Wrangler jacket, and then I get Wrangler jeans. And I remember my dad doing that for years with all of us. Well, my dad wore Levi's, but I brought my dad home Wranglers when he was about 87. I was in town and Guyaney's got them in. Very rare you see the Wranglers or the Levi's in there. And I brought him home a pair of Wranglers. I said, I got you the jeans, and I took them out. He said, who are they for? I said, they're for you. You love your old jeans. He said, I don't like Wranglers. They went out with the horse trams. You can bring them back. And I said, but then I remembered when I was thinking back on when he was young walking down the docks, he always wore denim. But he never wore anything but Levi's. And all the photographs you see his jeans, his keys hanging. Tracy always took photographs of him from behind. And I'm glad I have them, because he's in his indigo Levi's. Then I went one day and bought him a pair of Carhartts. Seen a pair of Carhartts in the charity shop, couldn't believe them, my dad's size. I said, Jesus, they're rapper, I'm going to get them for the outfit. So I brought them home, but you'd have to talk him around if you got him anything different. Now, he was very into his clothes. For an older man, he always looked gorgeous, didn't he?
He did.
Cocky.
And his hair was immaculate.
His hair was gorgeous, lovely head of hair. And I always think, Jay's dad, if you could just leave your hair to one of your sons, because they're all, few of them is follically challenged. I thought if you could leave his hair. Yeah, I was going to say that. I got him the Carhartts and I said to him, what do you think of them? He said, what's the story with them? Are they American or something? I said, Dad, they're gorgeous. When you try them on, you know, I get them tailored and off you. And he wore them right up to the end. He bleeding loved them.
Did he?
Yeah. I think he was 87 when I got him. The only 87-year-old I knew in a pair of Carhartts.
What were you into when you were a young one? Like, you signed the youth centre and all that?
I was into new romantic kind of music. And Tracy and Tara that Corky hung around with would have been more alternative. The Smiths and the Cure.
Who's the New Romantics?
The Associates. Their New Romantics would have been Spandau Ballet and Duran Duran, ABC. Taya Wilcox, she even came under punk. I didn't think she was. I loved the collection of music. But I was very influenced by what Tracy and Tara listened to, because they were such a huge part of my life. I was always out in Kay's and Airtown. Like Corky was saying, that was kind of a hub, because Kay had kids a different age and they'd be in there and having the crack and all. And Kay was always real. Jay, she was savage. She was great. She still is great and very easygoing.
When I was a kid, I was a punk, and I only ever listened to punk, and that was it. I didn't listen to mod, I didn't listen to the Jam, I didn't listen to rockabilly music. When I went over the hump, and it was Tracy and Tara and all used that brought me over the hump, because I remember I was at a party with one of yours, right? And I think You have a brother, Thomas, have you?
Yeah.
And his wife was mad into soul music. Would that be right?
Yeah.
And they were all dancing and singing to soul music. And I loved it. I was like, this is deadly. And it got me over the hump that music is music is music.
Absolutely.
And if you like it, go with it. I mean, you don't have to have a genre. You don't have to have... And then once I got over that, that was it. And it was that party that happened. I was saying to you in the car coming up where, and like I asked you, why did you just move down to Drummalee, is it? And you were saying about the heroin epidemic came into Dublin. And your dad wanted you load of young fellas, and he's saying, well, they can fuck this, they're not getting into that. And they never did.
No, we were lucky. We were just very fortunate.
That was the same as my dad.
Yeah.
When we were about 14, 15, my dad said, right, back into town. We went back into Ballybuck. My dad's from Sheriff, my ma's from East Wall.
Yeah.
We went back into the fold. So at least he had a bit of control. At least he knew 20 fellas he could call if he needed to.
I think so many families were blighted by the heroin situation that my dad thought, Jesus, if I lose me boys to that, of course you'd be worried about your kids, you don't want them to die, but I think they were talking about pulling down the tenements. People had started to move. Not everyone was gone. There was loads left when we were there. But I remember the day we moved, I don't think my ma told me dad she was moving that day, and he was down the docks and he came home for his tea and there was nobody there, and Mary Fagan from Flat C upstairs looked out and said, Fats had I moved. They're gone up to Drummalee. Ma forgot to tell me that.
My
what
ma
day she
done
was
exactly
moving.
the same thing. We were in school here in Ballymun. We went up to the gaff up in Druid Court, up in Poppentry in Ballymun, and there was a note on the door. We live down in Clonliffe Road now in Ballybuck. Get the fucking bus down, get the 13 down and get off at Queen's.
Yeah, but you have to think, they weren't playing with the full deck. They were totally distracted with kids. They must have been off their biggie with stress. Think about it. How did he even do it?
My ma had 6 kids, and I remember our thing when she cracked up, she just opened up the press and grabbed the plates and just fucked them across the kitchen.
Well,
Fuck yous all!
Yeah, I'm leaving. I say he's got a few of that. I'm leaving.
Leaving. Oh, she'd bar us out. She'd
I don't know how
"Get out."
my ma was very quiet. Now, my dad would be a bit flighty now. My dad wouldn't be backward about coming forward now, but my ma was... Kay would say different because Kay had a different relationship because Kay is older than me. And she'd say, yeah, my ma wasn't always that quiet. So like I say, you mellow out and you become very, very content and very comfortable in your own skin at an age because life teaches you that, I think. That's what's happened to me. I wouldn't people to say she's not too chilled. I feel I'm very chilled. I do meditation. I do yoga. I do what works for me. Yeah, I've done yoga for years and I do meditation and that works for me. And I did it while I was living with my dad because sometimes it was very frustrating living with an older man when you're in your 40s and your dad has gone into his 80s. It's a funny place to be in. It's not a natural place to be in. People are normally in their 40s living with their husband and their kids, and your dad is usually with your ma. But then when your dad is on his own and you're thinking, I have to go back there. It wasn't a bleeding hardship. I came home from London. I wasn't coming from Australia. But it's your life completely changed and it becomes about that person. And like you were saying earlier, when you watch them getting old and the hair is greying, I always remember watching my dad going in, he used to go in the bathroom and he'd have his little pyjama bottoms and his white vest. And that's when you always see the age. I used to look at him going in the bathroom, you see the shoulders are rounded now. And you always remember your dad being this big strong man going down the docks, which he was. But I always remember looking at him from behind thinking, Jesus, my dad's getting better up. That's when you see the body changing. And I said to him one day, he was standing in the hall, and I must have took my eye off the ball with regard to how old he was getting because he was stooping a little bit. And I remember saying to me, Dad, stand up straight. We were going to doctors, we were always down the matter because he had kidney trouble. I said, Dad, stand up straight. He said, I hope you're bleeding standing up straight at 87. And I remember thinking, Jesus, it's just his body getting broke up. But it's very, very hard to watch. So that's where the meditation came in and that's where yoga came in for me because you have to be looking after yourself.
What are you getting from the meditation?
Meditation sets me up for the day. I just do a few minutes when I wake up in the morning. If you're having a bad day, very rare anybody stresses me out that much. That's what I'm saying about when you get to a certain part in your life. Things don't really stress me out that much. If they do, that's when you stop and be in the moment and do your meditation and bring it back. It's very important. I think it's very important. It's not everybody's gig, like yoga is not. I went to yoga for the first time with my sister-in-law who got shingles, and the doctor said the best thing you can do is go to yoga because it'll relax your whole system, your nervous system, and it'll help the shingles. And she hated it after the first time. She said, I'll never come back here. And I stayed at Henrietta Street, great for the courses, that's where I do it. And the meditation I do, not every morning, but the yoga is what keeps me going a lot, I think. And walking. I love walking. I walk constantly. I should be like Olive Oil, but I'm not, Barney House. What can we say?
Who's that, Popeye's board?
Yeah. She was thin, wasn't she? I should be like Olive Oil.
Do you want Olive Oil's body, do you?
Not at all. Not at all. But a little bit smaller, maybe.
Smaller in height or smaller in hips?
Smaller than everything. I'm never smaller in height. I like being 5'7". I'm grand. I'm lovely being the height.
One of your messages that you sent me, you were talking about the days when it was raining and your ma wouldn't let you go to school, that you would play, you know what I mean, that you and your ma would play shop in the gaff. And it brought me right back, when you were talking about it, it brought me right back to the days when your ma wouldn't send you to school or something like that.
You see, because I went to George's Hill down the markets and there was no bus that saved George's Hill. Yeah. So you had a good walk from Hanlon's Corner all the way down Manor Street, all the way down Bolton Street. And when it was winter and it was lashing, you were like, I don't want to go into school, this is brutal. But sometimes when it was lashing, my ma would say, your dad's gone out, stay in bed. So I'd stay in bed. And then when I get up, it'd be still lashing. And she'd say, Irene, it's brutal out, isn't it? I'd say, yeah. She'd say, get the coloured books out of it. Out with a big dresser, big pine dresser. It was known as a Welsh dresser years ago. I think Kay had bought it for me ma. And she said, get the coloured books out of the dresser and the markers and the crayons. And we got them and we stayed there. I like 2 kids because it was lashing, you had nothing to do. And then she'd say, well, we play shop. And then you take out the tins of beans and you take out all your little meshes and we played shop. What I would give to go back for a day. But sure, if you went back for a day, I'd never let them go again.
Do you have kids?
No. Sam has a boy, 26.
Do you get to play shop with him?
You'd never even see young Sam because you know under that age you don't want to know you.
He's off gallivanting around the world.
What do you do? Are you working?
I work part-time at the minute in a counselling service down in Green Street. Snug counselling service. I work in the office and we just do the referrals, me and another girl, Audrey. And then we have 2 female counsellors and we have a man counsellor. And then it's people in recovery that come in and avail of the services.
Oh, wow.
And you meet lovely people. No, you meet lovely people. And a lot of the people that come through, because it's catchment areas of Dublin 1 and Dublin 7. I came from Dublin 1. I live in Dublin 7. I had said to the manageress when I went to see it initially, I had said to her, I'm going to know a lot of people that come through your doors. And obviously she was cool with that. And I went to school with a lot of them, and they're in recovery and they're all doing great. And we do... They do Tai Chi. They do forced sound bath. Do you ever do a sound bath?
Done a sound bath. The mate of ours does it. Stunning.
I did it a few weeks ago. Forced
one.
What
was it like?
I went fast asleep.
Did you?
Wake me up. Yeah, I do though. In yoga, I go fast asleep.
Yeah.
In a car, if you drive me somewhere, I'd be sparko. I always just get really relaxed. But in yoga, she used to come over and just press me firmly on the shoulder as if to say, "Irene, engage. I'm doing yoga." And in the sound bath,
you'd be looking to go for a kip.
I'm ready to go sleep.
Yeah.
So in the sound bath was gorgeous. I think the girl's name was Roisin, and she was brilliant facilitator, and her voice was gorgeous. But then she started doing the sounds. I was gone. She came.
You get
over
lost in it, don't you?
Isn't it lovely?
I find it's kind of like when they do all those bing bong. It's kind of like the universal sound or something like that.
I love it.
And it's like going back to your mammy's bosom. You're just going.
I think that's probably what it is.
I'm going to go in here for half an hour. See you later.
You feel safe and cocooned. I think it's a lovely feeling.
Yeah, and you come out your adult thinking head for whatever time it is, and you go back into, and you can have a little bit of play in there, like emotional play and that type of stuff. But you can just go back into your body when you're lying on the sofa and your ma's putting a little blanket over you, and it's raining outside. There's a bit of soup being served and a bit of toast or something. That's what you want.
It's lovely. It's that feeling though. Do you do a sound bath, Corky?
I have done a sound bath. I've done it with Austin.
What do you think?
Out cold.
I was sparkle. I think she thought, oh Lord, we have to wake this one up. But I loved it, and one of the ladies that I work with said, we're going to have a sound bath again. I said, will you put my name down, because I definitely do that.
Yeah, do it.
We do massage. I had what was she doing?
There's so many people I know
foot massage.
Haven't got massaged. I'm telling you now, if you're out there, be kind to yourself. Go and do a yoga. I do a yoga where you do 2 or 3 moves and they let you sleep for like 20 minutes in between each pose.
Oh, Lord.
All the lights are off, there's candles, you get a big blanket and you just lie there like a little child.
I love it. And you do Tai Chi?
Don't do Tai Chi, no. I was doing a bit of MMA for a while, I like that. And jiu-jitsu and all that. Which is
that's
kinda,
good for you, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
What I liked about it is, in that, because you're kind of with somebody else, especially in jiu-jitsu, you kind of have to, you can't push and struggle against it. You have to just surrender into some of it. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we don't like to give up the control, you know what I mean?
It's a power, yeah. You want to hold on to your own power most of the time, don't you?
Dude, that reminded me of your dad. Your dad wanted his power. He wanted to be the strong man. He wanted to have the shoulders, especially when you were there because you were the youngest.
But he was the king of the family, like.
And that's but he admitted his vulnerability to that lady in the palliative care, going, you know what, I'm a bit fucking frightened here. And that is stunning for me.
Oh, God, it was love. It was horrible to hear. Now thinking back, I can talk about him freely. I wasn't able to talk to him for a long time because of the grief. But in 4 years now with the grief, I think he's in a better place. And like, we wanted him to live forever because he was head of the household and you want him to stay forever.
Superhero.
He said, Irene, you want me to stay forever? I'm ready to check out. And he wasn't a morbid man and he didn't talk about his feelings much. And he was far from being morbid. He just said to me, I'm ready to go. Your mother is gone. All my friends is gone. Everyone my age is gone. All his friends, a lot of my dad's friends had died 56, 58. And I think a lot of them went from asbestos down the docks. He never said that. None of them ever knew why they went so early. But I think a lot of them was exposed to asbestos.
You were breathing in all types of stuff, cement, dust and all that type of stuff.
So he was 91, so he lived a good old age considering what he did for a living.
So here, where are they all gone?
Oh, they're gone on to the next place. Well, I am I am an atheist. I don't really believe in heaven. I believe you go off into the ether. Part of your energy is still floating about. And if you have a positive energy, it's gorgeous because people will always feed off it. That's what I feel. Don't feel like I'm going to heaven. Me and my dad used to discuss this. When I used to be going out, there's a holy water font at the door and he used to say, bless yourself, Irene, go now. And I never blessed myself. And I used to walk out and he'd say, Jesus Christ almighty, you can't bless yourself. Put holy water on you. And because I didn't feel the need, and he used to go mad. But then when he was dying and that, I said, when he was dying, I went into one of the nights and he said, who will you call for when the chips is down? Who are you going to call for? I said, I won't be calling for you, you'll be gone. I said, God, I don't think I'll be calling for anybody there. I hope you'll have me comfortable enough that I'm not uncomfortable or in pain. Like the way they made me that at the end. It was lovely. Not nice always that they're unconscious, but he's not in pain. He's not riding around the bed in pain, so it was lovely. So he's gone. He lived his life. 91. Can't say anything more about that.
Look, so I have a mate who's a priest. When John wasn't well, Eamon said to him, where do you think you're going? You know, and John had a son who died, you know. And he said, I think I'm going to meet with Sean and we're going to hang around together and we're going to float around the universe, something like that. And Eamon, who's a Catholic priest, said, well, that's exactly what I believe in. You know what I mean? And it was magic to hear that, like, you know what I mean? Because as kids, we were told, good people go to heaven, bad people go to hell, all that. I don't believe any of that stuff. But I do remember somebody saying to me, energy keeps going.
Matter keeps going. Matter doesn't die. So your energy is always going to be out there. I think it's lovely to have the faith. I wouldn't knock anybody with a faith. And I think it's gorgeous to have a belief. And I think it's nice, like my dad would have thought he was going to my ma. And it's a comfortable thing for them. Let them have it. But it's not for me. Never was for me. And I think it's because I was sent to a convent to be educated. And I think it was because they weren't always easy. I just probably went against the grain and I lost my faith.
Oh, I went against the grain big time with all that stuff. And even now,
I just tested my boundaries with them all the time. I just couldn't stand being stifled. I was stifled with them. George's Hill, down the fruit markets. Yeah. Great education, great nuns. Just hard. Just, you know. But you did learn. I mean, they drummed a lot of stuff into that I could still, you know, I can remember a lot of the stuff that they taught me, but I'm not into being dictated to by faith and having to do my hymns and having to go out on excursions, holy excursions. They're not for me.
I used to love them because they fucking fed us.
They fed you and you got out of school. That's just nice sides to them. But no, I wasn't
We're going
really.
off on a retreat. Happy days. Sign me up for the next 10.
Well, we had to sing in Latin. O salve Regina, Mater Misericordiae. Can't remember the words. I remember, when I used to come home, my ma used to say to me, Irene, do you do any Latin hymns today? I say, yeah. She'd say, sit down there and sing them for us. And I could recite all the Latin, didn't know what I was singing. They taught you so strongly, like I learned all the Latin hymns. And I loved the hymns. And I still love the incense over coffin.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I love the smells and I love all that, but I never connected with Jesus or with any of that stuff.
No.
I do. I am a bit spiritual, like, you know what I mean. I am a bit. I'm very open. Now I'm open to anything, whatever people believe in. I just accept that. You know, I'm not critical because why? You know what I mean. If that's what people are into, that's what they're into. My thing would be about love. I would love that for them, and that's what I would project. You know what I mean?
And were you always so compassionate? Do you think you've learned that along the way?
Always.
Were you?
Always. I always had it. I've always had it. I don't know what it is, whether it's a spiritual thing, whether it was a gift, whether it's a pagan thing, a tribal thing or something like that. But that's the role I played. I've always had that role from a very, very young age of compassion and all that and I don't know where that came from. No, I'm not always. There was a time in my life when I was losing it, when I became bitter and I became resentful and all that kind of stuff. But thanks be to God, wherever there is.
You're nicer to be around when you're not like that.
Yeah, I'm losing that now. Irene, thank you so much.
Oh, it's been lovely. Thank you for having me. Nice meeting you, Dean. It was lovely.
What were you thinking before you got here?
Didn't know what to think. I said on the way out, what's the story when I get out here now? You'll be grand. What are we going to talk about? Can't tell you. Why are you not telling me? Just give us a few pointers what you're going to hit me with. I'm not going to tell you because then it won't flow. I said, that's all right. That's grand.
Irene, thanks for the love. You're great.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been lovely.
Thanks so much.
Really nice.
You up the batch.
You up the batter. A Stony B, they say. You're going for a pint in Stony B? Jesus. Where
Up your own hole.
That's where they've gone. I haven't. They say you're going for a pint in Stony B.
Episode 14, the fresh batch. Irene Dunne, you up the flats.
Yeah, up the batter.
Here, fuck off, will you? Fresh, yeah?
You eat that mandarin. I had one in the car.